Hey guys, I've been gone for a couple of months. Seasonal depression kicked in, which means that those of you who know that means that basically I'm constantly exhausted, motivation is low, etc., etc. And I've been trying new medications to help with my ADHD and depression and other things. So the last few months have been up and down, and I've been under a little bit of stress to prepare for the Christmas season when it comes to my small business. So a lot of things have been happening and it's been crazy, and I've honestly just been lacking in motivation to film. I'm hoping that that'll start to change. Also, I did try filming 2 different videos during those months, and because I have a problem with being extra critical of myself, I hated both videos as I was editing, and I was like, I can't post this, I don't like this, oh my god, this is not gonna work. So that is also an issue. So I'm gonna try to write down ideas ahead of time and see if it's an idea that I'm going to love or not. So that's been where it's been going. So, but in today's video, as you can tell by the title, I have 2 books that I'm going to show you from ThriftBooks, and the main book that I'm going to be talking about is Iron Widow. And the reason I'm going to be talking about this book mainly is because the premise of the book and the author of the book, amazing. But I will get to that when we get to that point. So right now I'm just going to open up the 2 books and we're going to have a little chit chat about ThriftBooks, and that'll be great. I will also leave a timestamp if you just want to hear about the book and you don't want to see me opening the books, and I'm going to briefly talk about the other book that I got that's part of a different series. So I'm going to talk about that. So if you don't want to see that and you just want to see me talk about the Iron Widow book, go ahead, skip to that timestamp, and I will see you in that section of the video. So for those of you that don't know what ThriftBooks is, it is essentially a thrift store for books. It's online. I will leave a link below, and essentially you can get all kinds of books, pretty much any book you can think of. You can get some books that are new, that are like maybe a few bucks cheaper than in the stores, but typically newer books do cost about the price that they would in bookstores, as are older books you can get for discounted prices. They also give you the option to choose between good, acceptable, like brand new, new, and on their website they do tell you what each of those means. And essentially it just means the how the book is, whether or not it comes with maybe a cover is missing, maybe it's well loved, meaning that some of the edges are, they have that little bit of worn, but it's nothing too bad. I have bought in mostly books from being good to like new. I haven't really bought any acceptable books yet. Maybe I'll do that for a future video and I'll just see the difference. But the books come from all over the country and they come from different places. You can get them from thrift stores, from libraries, and I think there are a few other places that they get their books, but I don't know. But the 2 places that I've mostly gotten them from are from libraries, or I've gotten a few from Savers, which is a thrift store. But yeah, they come from all over, and they're just secondhand books essentially that you can do online. And I love this because where I used to live before I moved, there was a little family-owned used bookstore that I loved to go to and visit. But when we moved, there's like nothing out here, not even a bookstore. So ThriftBooks became my best friend because now I can get any kind of book that I want at a discounted price. And honestly, it's just like buying them from a thrift store or a used bookstore. And I really love that because it's one of my favorites. Now, the book Iron Widow, I did buy brand new from ThriftBooks. And the reason I did that is because it was so much cheaper than buying it from Barnes & Noble. Because at Barnes & Noble, they have the price, but then you have sales tax. Or if you buy it online, it doesn't qualify for free shipping because you have to spend $35 or more. So I'm paying like $20-something for a book that's only like, I think, $17. As where with ThriftBooks, I paid like $16-something plus like, I think, like maybe $1 in sales tax. I got free shipping, so I didn't have to pay for shipping. But yeah, it was just so much cheaper to buy it brand new from ThriftBooks than it was to actually buy it from a bookstore or online. So that's what I also love, is that they typically are cheaper. Even if it's by a few dollars, you're saving a ton. Now, the 1 free books, I mentioned I got a free book. The way you do that is the more books you buy, you move up in your tiers. There are 3 tiers for it. I don't remember everything, so I will list the 3 tiers here. And when you get to the 3rd tier, which is the highest tier, you get a certain, you can get a free book with certain prices. So they start up with like, when you reach 500 points, you get like, I think it's a free $5 book. And then when you go to tier 2, it's like $6. And then tier 3, it's a book of $7 or less value. So you can get a free book for buying books and earning rewards by buying books. And they'll have some really cool like promotions where they'll be like, you get double points for buying older books. You get double points for the holiday season, or like here is a select genre of books that you get more points for, things like that. So it's super cool. It's super easy to earn these points, and honestly, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to go to the 3rd tier. You can just stay in the 1st tier if you're someone that doesn't buy a lot of books. It's just a nice place to go if you want secondhand books, or if you want books for cheaper and you aren't able to go to any used bookstores or thrift store or anything like that. So I really love it. And I am a tier 3 because I buy a lot of, as you can see, most of these books are from ThriftBooks. Not all of them, but a good majority of them. I can go through one of these days if you want to see all the books that I've gotten from ThriftBooks. But yeah, that being said, let's move into opening up the books and getting on to chatting about those. All right, so we're gonna open up the books. I am not sure which book is in which packaging. Now I will say that the one book that I got, I think it's this book is the freebie book that I got. I don't think this is Ironwood. I think this is the other one, but we're gonna open it here. I got these books like 4 days ago, and I've just been like waiting to open them until I film this. So yes, this is the book. Now, this is the packaging that it comes in. Sometimes it's green with white words. Sometimes they do a little bit of a box. It really depends on how many books you're getting and whether they're hardcover or softcover. So let's open up this one. So this one is called Xiran. This is part of another series. Here, let me grab this book. This is called Parasite. This is the first book. I think this is the 3rd book. I ended up getting this book because this fell in line with the price for my free book for ThriftBooks. So this book, so the book Parasite is, again, a virus book, an apocalyptic book, sort of. I've been loving these books lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of the pandemic. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but I've always loved these books, and I've always loved movies like Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman and stuff, and a couple of other zombie movies and apocalypse movies. Always been a fan of those. So when I started discovering older apocalypse and virus books on ThriftBooks, I was so excited because now I got to read different things, because there's really not a lot of movies and shows that are centered around that, and the few that there are, they're either really good or they're really bad. So maybe I'll do a video on good and bad zombie apocalypse shows and movies. But so this series, the first book, Parasite here, which I got a while ago, is basically the premise of the series is that these engineering company developed a like tapeworm type of virus thing that you get injected, and it's supposed to like boost your immune system, and it's like this really good, healthy thing that's supposed to help humanity and keep them safe. But over the years, I don't know if because I haven't read the first book yet, I don't know if they develop their own like mindset and their own like life within the person, but it does say in the little summary description that the little tapeworm viruses are getting restless and they want lives of their own. So I can only speculate that perhaps they grow a conscience at some point. I'm not sure. But I ended up buying the 3rd book, I believe this one is, because the 2nd book didn't qualify for free. So this is the book that I got for free because it was $7 or under that I could get for free, so I grabbed this one. I don't mind buying books out of order, especially if I'm not currently reading that series. I'm still working on the Rotten Ruin series, which I'm going to create a whole video around that series because I love that series so much. But because I haven't started the Parasite series yet, I don't mind buying the third book before I get the second book. I often do that with a lot of my books that I get, just because if I come across it, like I've come across a couple of books at the dollar store or BOGO sales at bookstores where it's like the fourth, fifth, or like third book or something, and I'm like, because I'm here, because it's a decent price, because it's like the last one, whatever it is, I grab it, because at least that way, when I do start reading that series, I have that book and I don't have to worry about trying to find it, because sometimes once a book leaves a bookstore when it's been on sale, it's very difficult to find, and ThriftBooks does sometimes tend to go out of stock of books, but they will let you know when an item on your wish list does come into stock, which is really nice, because then that way you can, you don't have to take them off your wish list or delete them or be like, oh my god, they're never getting this book in. It may take a couple of weeks or months for a certain book to come back into stock, but they will let you know and they will have it. So yes, I did grab this one for free. This one is actually, I can tell from a library based on how it looks. It does say on the side here with the scan ThriftBooks, but based on, well, first of all, it says Sandusky Library here, but if it didn't have that, usually libraries will stamp their books, but also they have a plastic coating around the cover of the book. I lost my thought. I did post a video on TikTok on how I remove covers from softcover and hardcover books, but if you want a video on that where I show you guys how to safely and carefully get the plastic off of library books, let me know, because it can be very tricky. It took me a little while to figure it out, but ultimately it's super, super easy. So if you're interested in that, let me know. So I think that's everything that I have to say on this series and these books. I'm gonna put this one back. I have to reorganize my bookshelf. All right, so that is it for this section about this book, the series, that it was free from ThriftBooks. The nice thing too about getting these from a library specifically is that they're always in good condition. So if you get them in good condition, or usually like new, and new books, obviously new books are new, like new are usually not from libraries, but typically I've noticed that the good books are more so from libraries. Some aren't, but a majority are from libraries. And honestly, I think it's really cool that ThriftBooks gets these books from different places instead of having them being thrown out in dumpsters, because let me tell you, I actually bought 2 books from a dumpster diving lady, which I am going to make a video on dumpster diving. But yeah, brand new books out of a dumpster because somewhere was dumping books. I mean, I hate the idea of books being dumped, so the fact that ThriftBooks can take those books out of libraries or thrift stores and give them to you is amazing. So that is the end of this section. Let's move on to the most exciting part, and the part that this video is on is the book Iron Widow. I am so stoked for this one. Alright, so let me open this. This one came in cardboard, and I think it's because it's brand new, so they didn't want it in a plastic baggie. They wanted to put it in cardboard, so it was much safer. I did, like I said, bought it brand new. So let's open this up here. Okay, this is what it looks like. Hopefully my camera isn't blurry and it's actually focusing. But this is the book. It is a beautiful cover. This is the back here. Again, hopefully this is focusing. I don't have contacts in my eyes because I had to order them in. I ran out of my last pair, and I have new glasses on the way because I put my first pair of glasses down and I can't find them anywhere. They're in the house. I don't know where. So if I'm ever squinting at the camera or making weird eye things, it's because I'm trying to see. I can't see anything. So hopefully this came into focus for you guys. But this cover and this artwork, I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible. And this is the inside here. If this focuses, I don't know if you'll be able to read the description, but I'm going to read the description for you guys. But I'm going to link this author down below, all of her socials. I saw her on TikTok and she was talking about her book. And as soon as I heard about her book, I knew I had to get it. And she was saying that she made a joke with her friends when they were younger that if she ever got published, she would take her author photo in a cow onesie. And she actually did. And hopefully this focuses. I thought it was the funniest thing and like one of the best stories ever. I am not going to pronounce this author's name because I am going to botch it so much. I am, but I will put the author's name here, and again, all of her socials will be down below. But this book is all, oh god, I think it's Chinese. Oh my god, I can't remember. I'm gonna check really quick to see, to double check because it doesn't say in here, and I don't want to get this wrong. So let me really quickly check where about this book so I have the correct information for you guys. Okay, so the author is Chinese. She grew up in China. She moved to Canada. So she is a Chinese author. And honestly, I don't know many authors that are of non-white ethnicity. I know that there are POC or black authors, but I know that the writing and book genre is mostly dominated by white people. So that is one of the reasons I took an interest in this book, because it was a Chinese author writing about a book that I believe this does take place in China because it mentions the Great Wall. But it isn't like a modern day China thing. Like, this is a full-on fantasy book. All of her characters, I believe, are Chinese. There are no white characters in this book. And on her TikTok, I think someone mentioned why, or she just talked about why, and she was like, because it's not relevant to the plot. And honestly, I can relate to that. Like, if you are an author that is non-white and you want to write a book that has to do with people of other ethnicities or your own country in a different way, I honestly wouldn't include white people, especially like she said, if it's not relevant to the plot. But also, if you were writing a book that takes place in another time period, why would you have white people in a part of the country where there weren't any white people at the time? You know, like, I wouldn't put a white person in a Chinese dynasty or anything. So I honestly, that made me take even more interest, because I love books that have non-white characters or that have a different culture and background, because it just brings more to the book and it brings more to that character, especially when it is explored and it's mentioned and you get a better idea of who the character is. And but I also don't like when people over exaggerate, right? You get people that put in certain other characters of ethnicity, and then they kind of don't do their research and they just kind of go, oh, this person is this ethnicity and that's all, right? Like, you don't learn anything about this character other than they're basically the token character, which I find highly annoying. I have to adjust my sitting position. Sorry, I have to sit up here. But yes, so this is an amazing book with an author who, from her TikToks, I believe, she said that excuse me. So from her one TikTok, I think she said that the protagonist, excuse me, oh my goodness. Oh God, I think I'm getting a little bit of stomach acid here. Whoops. Anyways, she mentioned that her protagonist is a female, but also that she's kind of like a villain character, which I love. I love when people, authors, put female characters in strong positions, whether that be a strong lead or a position of a villain or power, but they don't over exaggerate it and make you feel like it's a pointless, like they just threw it in there because they wanted to kind of pander to the idea that women are strong, right? Like, if you're going to make a female character, base it on realistic things, not in a not really objectifying way, but in a way that makes you go, oh, this character is just like every other female character, nothing interesting to them, right? So that's why I'm excited about this book. But I'm also excited because the way she described this book is robots that fight, but also kind of have that blasting power from Dragon Ball Z. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z growing up, so I apologize if there's a name for it, but I don't know it. But yeah, so she basically said, that's what I'm going to do. And honestly, I am taken by this. I am so excited for this. So I'm going to read what this book is about so you guys can know if you didn't know and you are interested. So I'm going to read the inside cover here, and then I think I'm going to also read the author part here, just so you can get an idea of who this author is. So let us read is it the summary or the plot? Let's just read what the story is about. I need a drink first because my mouth is dry. Hang on. I talk so much. I'm such a rambler. Okay, so in this part, I cannot pronounce any of these Chinese words, and I don't even know how to try, but this is where it takes place. The highest honor for a young girl is to be selected as a concubine pilot. Supporters paired up with male pilots to power up chrysalises, I think is how it's pronounced. This is the word. I will be putting a lot of words that I can't pronounce up on the screen for you guys to see. The giant transforming mechas that humanity relies on to battle the massive aliens that lurk beyond the Great Wall. But the honor often ends in death, and when 18-year-old Zitana's name here, sister is killed by an ace male pilot, she signs up to avenge her. The vengeance is swift, brutal, and unexpected, leaving Zitana labeled as an Iron Widow, a much feared kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up chrysalises instead of the other way around. To tame her unnerving yet invaluable mental strength, she is paired with Lee here. If you know any of these words, let me know the pronunciation down below. The strongest and most controversial male pilot in... But now that Zitane has had a taste of power, she will not cower so easily. She will miss no opportunity to leverage her and combined mighty and infamy and survive attempt after attempt on her life until she can figure out exactly why the pilot system relies so heavily on destroying girls' lives and dismantle it for good. Now, if that does not sound like an amazing, story to a book, I don't know what is. Listen, I have been hyped up on so many apocalypse and virus and zombie books as of late that this caught my eye. It's been very difficult to get my mind off of those books. Like, I have books on, for instance, the Cavadan Luck, which is like a female-led book. I have books on farm story type of books, or books that are based in other parts of history that are more realistic and stuff. But I have not read any of those because I have been too busy reading my apocalypse books. But this book, I am going to read this book in November. I am setting aside all of my books and I am reading this book because I am so excited. It's very, very, very hard to find a book that captivates me that is not, again, any type of apocalypse book, any type of princess or female-led royalty book, books that are fantasy-based, that are basically not romance, but Twilight Supernatural, but also spooky, but I have a wide range of tastes. For instance, one of the books that I have, this book on Agate Hill, these are more of time period books. So I typically read books like that. I've never read books that are like this one, where it's not so much based on any of those supernatural or time period ones, that is more like monsters but robots. That stuff has never interested me, any type of mechanical book. So this book, I cannot wait to read it. I will probably do a review on this book when I finish it, because I'm probably gonna have a lot to say about this book. And I'm excited. My predictions for this book, right? I am hoping that, first of all, I am hoping that the female character is a good, strong character without any of the male view on how women are. I'm going to assume that she isn't like that, and that she is a good, strong female lead character that isn't like a pandering type of thing, or isn't like a throw-in female. I have very, very strong hopes based on who the author is and based on what I've seen and heard her talk about. I'm also excited to know the secrets, because just from reading the description, there are a lot of things that I have questions about, right? So I'm going to actually ask some of the questions here so that when I finish reading this, I can answer them. First of all, I want to know what time period this is, because clearly, I mean, we know it's in China, there's the Great Wall, but I want to know if she gave a time period, or because it is technically an AU, like, is there a year? Are there any years? Is this more of like a futuristic book? Is it an AU where it's an alternative universe where technically it's not even in our universe, so it's not like it's, 1,000 years from now in like 2063 or something, it's like a different. So I'm wondering if she put in a time period for this. I'm also curious to know, I want to know how she killed her pilot, right? Because they say that it's supposed to power up these machines. How? How does it power up the machines? Also, why are they called a concubine? Because there's no mention of sex or anything in here. It's just a pilot and robots and all that. Let me put that book down. So I'm curious to know, how do these females power up these machines? Also, how do they work? Like, if they're robots that move, right, and these girls power them up, are they like massive? Are they like a decent, like, are they as big as a house? Are they like ridiculously big, like in those Power Ranger ones where they're taller than skyscrapers? Like, I'm also excited and curious to know what abilities and powers, and like, I know she said that they have like a blasting power, but I'm curious to know if there's anything else. Also, I'm also curious to know if these machines drain out the life force and the energy of these girls, which is why they end up dying. I'm curious to know if that's what it is. Also, they say that there is a mental strength, so I'm wondering if the pilot and the females have like a mental connection when they get into the machine. Like, is there something hooked up to her, like cables or something? Is there like communication via radio that they can hear each other? Also, I'm also curious to know if they work together, or if she is just like a battery or a power source, and so she doesn't have any control over it. I'm also really, really excited to learn about the ending here, where it says she's trying to find out why the pilot system relies so heavily on destroying girls' lives and dismantle it for good. I'm wondering if, when she says dismantle it, if she is just talking about the machines and stuff, or if she's talking about the whole entire point. I think she means like the whole system around that. Like, she wants to stop the girls from being used for these power sources. I'm just going to call them power sources because I'm genuinely curious if that's the thing. I also want to know if in the book they talk about when this came about. Like, was this always the way of life, or did something happen that created this point in life? Like, was it a pretty normal life and daily routine, and then some sort of disaster happened, and that's when they started using these machines and the pilot and the females, or was it always like this? Also, I want to know how they're paired up. I want to know how the pilots and the I guess they call them concubines in this term, how are they paired up? Are they paired up based on strength? Is it like a drawing? Is it just based, like, do they take tests? I'm curious to know about that as well. Also, I'm very, very curious I'm very curious to know how she ended up sacrificing her pilot. I want to know if there is like a mental connection, and if it's like a battery source. Like, I'm curious to know if she ended up like draining his life force. Did he get shocked and die? Did she like did it go up in flames? Like, I'm genuinely curious to know how that is. The other thing that I am curious about is that they say she's 18. So I'm wondering if all of these characters are adults, because in some books they use younger characters, but I'm wondering if they have an age limit on when you can become a pilot, or if it's just any age. Also, my other question is that if these females are used for this, right, like how are they selected? Because obviously you have to have a mom and a dad to create these kids. So do they get picked up randomly? Is this like a job they volunteer for? Is there like a power thing where they discover that at a certain age they have these abilities? Because if all of these women are dying and all these girls are dying, like how are you reproducing? You know what I mean? But also, do the females die every time? Like, is it just like a one-time thing, or is it like it keeps going until she dies? You know what I mean? Like, because if they just kept dying after each time, then like that would be a lot of females to go through. But if you like, if the girl is still alive until she fully dies, then that makes me wonder if the machine is sucking out her like life force or something each time a little bit and she ends up dying, or like a mental thing. I don't know. Also, like I mentioned before, with hooking up to the machines, are there wires? Does she like, or is it like hands on something, or does she go into like a sleep state and it's all like, you know, a helmet and it's a mental thing? Like, I'm curious to know about that as well. I have a lot of questions, and I have pretty high hopes for this, and I am hoping, because the author is saying that she's been kind of like writing since she was younger, but this is her first book ever. I'm curious to know how she does with writing, because sometimes you read author books and the first few books are terrible, and then as they go along they get better. Some of them just write terribly in general, and you read the book and you're like, this writing makes no sense. I don't understand why they're using these words and stuff. So I'm curious to know if her years of like, I guess, practice writing or like writing for fun, like really upped the writing in this book, because there are some books that I absolutely love just for the writing specifically, and there are books that I can't stand because of the writing in them and the way they use certain words or the way they make characters. So I'm really hoping that a lot of the questions I have get answered. I'm hoping there's a lot of descriptives, but I'm also kind of hoping there is some mystery and cliffhangers. I also am hoping that, and one of my things that I am always curious about books is, at what point does the book go all the way up and then fall? Because a lot of times you have books where the exciting thing happens and then it ends early on in the book, and then you don't want to read the rest of the book because there's nothing left. There's nothing good. There's no mystery. Nothing keeps you going. You're not hungry for more because the author basically just killed the entire point in the entire book early on. So I'm curious to know if her book and the way it's written, there is a little like string that keeps pulling you along, and that you're wanting more, and that you want to finish the book, and that if there is a sequel, you are excited for it, instead of being like, oh, I read this book, like it dropped off at some point, or oh, it stopped making sense at this point, or I got bored of the characters at some point because it was like repetitive or whatever else. So I have high hopes for this. I know I've been rambling. Hopefully it made sense, but I love talking about books. If you want me to do more videos on books, let me know, because I have so many books in series that I could talk about. But yes, so I'm going to start this book today, hopefully finish it by the end of November, and let you guys know my thoughts. I'm also going to write down a couple of notes throughout this so I can remember everything, because I tend to forget things. So yeah, that is it for this book. I'm so excited. Let me know if you've heard of this book. Let me know if you're currently reading this book. And if not, let me know if this book is interesting to you, or if you're now wanting to get it. But also, if you know any books similar to something like this, drop it down below. I'm genuinely curious. I'm always looking for new books to read. So again, the author's links will all be down in the description. All of my links will be down in the description if you want to check out those. Obviously, like and follow. I hate saying that in YouTube videos, but it's kind of something we have to say. So like, subscribe, do your thing. And let me know if you want to see other types of videos, what kind of videos you want to see. And also let me know if you kind of like my ramble, or if you want something more structured, because with my ADHD, I go on rambles. So let me know down below all of these things. Also, if you are currently reading this book, let me know how you feel about it. Don't give spoilers, but let me know if you think it's good or bad. So that is all. I will see you guys in my next video, and I will see you guys later. Bye! Okay, side note, because I'm at the end here, I know I told you I was going to organize my books. I'm going to actually do that in a separate video, and I'm going to talk about how I organize my books, because I feel like having just that without any context or anything would be a little bit boring. So that'll be my next video. Look forward to that. I apologize for telling you that it's going to be here. It's not. I'm sorry.